In this episode of the Bannerlord Perks guide, we will look at the medicine skill perks. By the end of this video, you will have a complete understanding of what each one does and which to pick based on your needs. I release 2 to 3 Bannerlord videos per week, so consider subscribing if you want to see more. Timestamps are in the description, and let's go. Preventative medicine. Starting off with our first HP boost, this perk increases max HP by +5. We can see a line item added for this perk under the health breakdown. The secondary perk returns 30% of the lost HP after battle. We ran 3 tests. Losing all HP returns 31 HP after battle, losing 85 returns 26 HP, and 45 returns 14 HP. Self-medication. Here we go, a broken perk and a movement speed perk together. The first is supposed to give a 30% increase to healing rate, but as we can see from the test, I was not able to get it to work. The secondary perk increases movement speed by 2%. I decided to try a new method for testing speed that would eliminate nearly all errors. We go to the same village spawn location and use a ranged weapon to aim at our destination, then frame match the beginning and record. With the perk, we were just over 1 second faster, or about a 3% speed increase. The pick here should be preventative medicine most of the time. If you're stacking movement speed perks, then consider self-medication, but only 1 out of the 2 perks work, so it's mostly a waste. Triage tent. This perk increases the healing rate by 30% when our party is not moving. In the testing, we see a 1.5 increase, which is 30% of the base amount, or 5. This perk is a flat increase and will not scale with levels or other perks. The governor perk decreases food consumption from prosperity by 5% during a siege. Walk it off. Similar to the other perk, this one increases healing while moving on the campaign map by 15%. Again, the 15% is off of the base amount and will not scale into the late game, as we see a flat 0.75 increase. The secondary perk is supposed to give plus 10 HP after each offensive battle, but in the testing we saw no such increase. My preference is Triage Tent for the higher healing rate, although either would be fine as the increase is minor either way. Triage Tent is the only governor option. Doctor's Oath. What an interesting perk. This one increases the wounded rate of the enemy, which can increase prisoners significantly if you win, or help them avoid casualties if you lose. In testing, we start at level 75 with and without the perk, seeing a nearly 50% injury rate without and 67% with. Finally, we raise medicine to level 300 and see an 84% injury rate, which means the perk will scale well into the late game. The secondary perk increases our main character's maximum hit points by +5. Sledges. This perk reduces the speed penalty from having wounded troops by 50%. In the testing, we see a negative 0.09 debuff from having wounded troops without the perk, which reduces to 0.05 with. The secondary perk is for party leaders and increases mounts HP by 15. To test, we start with Midland's Palfrey, who have a base HP of 200. Without the perk, they go down at 201 damage dealt, and with the perk, survive until 217. Doctor's Oath is my pick the vast majority of the time, as prisoner increase is huge and HP boosts stack really well together. Sledges can be good if you're planning on a cavalry heavy campaign and will be the surgeon with the main character. Best medicine. If we can maintain a morale of 70 or higher, then this perk will increase our healing rate by 15%. Once again, we see a 15% increase from the base rate, so no scaling here. The secondary perk increases relations with a random notable in the town if they are 50 years old or older. This happens once per day on the daily wage tick. Good lodging. If we're waiting in town, we can increase our healing by 20% with this perk. Looking at the testing, it seems they take the base amount plus the settlement default, or 20% of 15. The secondary perk is similar to the previous, but increases relations with the random noble aged 50 or more. I wasn't able to get this to work even while waiting in town with more than one noble who was over the age of 50. Best medicine is nice if morale is high, since it will work no matter where we are, plus the notable relations gain can help. Good lodging helps if you like to heal in towns often. Siege Medic. This was a tricky one to test, but in theory it reduces casualties sustained in siege engine duels. The first perk has a 50% chance to convert a death into an injury, and the second perk has a 30% chance to avoid both death and injury when a siege engine is destroyed. For the test, we run the same siege twice and test 48 days both with and without the perk, measuring the total casualties sustained at the end. With the perk, we sustain nearly 50% less casualties, which is a huge difference. Veterinarian. With this perk, we can convert a lame horse in our inventory back into a normal horse. This Midlands palfrey took only 3 days to recover back to normal. The secondary perk increases the number of mounts we get as battle loot by 50%. In testing, we ran a huge battle with plenty of cavalry and see a roughly 6% increase in horses recovered. If you plan on doing any kind of siege engine bombardment, then Siege Medic is a great pick. Veterinarian is really good if you have rare mounts that need healing or if you have a hard time finding mounts for cavalry upgrades. Bush Doctor. The first perk is for governors and increases hearth growth of bound villages by 20%. The secondary perk increases healing by 20% while waiting in a village. Again, we see a 20% increase from the base healing rate for a total of +1. Pristine Streets. Another governor perk first, but this one increases prosperity by +1 per day. The secondary perk increases healing while waiting in towns by 20%. It seems like they add the healing rate to the town with the base and then apply the 20%, resulting in a +3 healing. For the main, Pristine Streets is my preference as waiting in towns is much more common than waiting in bound villages and the bonus is bigger. The governor perks are tough to pick from as they are both great. Bush Doctor is more useful in the mid game when villages are not at 600 hearts yet, and Pristine Street helps in the late game for reaching higher incomes from fief. Health advice. The first perk is tagged as clan leader, so it will only work when your main character has it, and increases the life expectancy of clan members. Testing for this perk was quite difficult, as even running the game at 300 times speed, it would take nearly 30 to 60 minutes for one test. Dakila started out at 73 years old and died at 84, which is pretty good. For my first test, I changed my age to 70, but was not dying even at 101 years old. So I redid the test starting from 30 years old and died at 50 years without the perk, but lived up to 88 with the perk. Death is heavily RNG dependent, so results will vary significantly. The secondary perk removes the morale hit when troops become injured. We start the test with 500 cavalry units and check for their morale loss. Without the perk, our units are down to 10 morale when only a handful of troops are left and 62 had fled the field. With the perk, morale stayed around 30 the entire fight and none chose to run. Perfect health. By maintaining a good food variety, we can increase our healing rate with this perk. We see a 0.25 increase for each food type we have, which is 5% of the base, all the way up to 2.25 at the max. The secondary perk is for governors and increases animal production by 10% in bound villages. Both of these perks are decent, however, I think for the main pick, health advice has more to offer. If death is enabled, this can make a big difference in delaying the succession. The morale boost is huge in large battles as well. Perfect health is the only option for governors. Clean infrastructure. Both perks here are labeled governor. The first increases prosperity in our fiefs, but is unclear as to how much and why. Through testing, it gives a flat +2 to towns and +1 to castles, regardless of the building's levels. The secondary perk decreases village recovery rate by 30%. Physician of the people. The first perk is for governors and increases loyalty by +1 per day, which is huge. The secondary perk converts 30% of deaths for tier 1 and tier 2 units into injuries. For the test, we ran a huge battle using only tier 1 and tier 2 troops and saw an increase of 8% to the injury rate. Physician of the people is the only choice for the main pick. For governors, Physician of the people is great for the +1 loyalty. Clean infrastructure can help build up towns' prosperity quickly, so it's worth considering as well. Cheat death. Another death roll perk, but is tagged as personal and will only work for the person who takes the perk. We can see in the testing our character dies at 93, which is similar to the 175 perk. Again, death rolls are heavily RNG dependent, so results will vary quite a bit. The secondary perk decreases companion death chance from battle. For this test, we added 50 companions to the party and fought a losing battle. Without the perk, we had our first death in the second battle, but it took up to 6 battles with the perk for our first death. Fortitude Tonic. The first perk is tagged Party Leader, which means it will only work if our main character has it. We will gain +10 HP for each companion in our party, which we can see from testing a line item added for +10 max HP. The secondary perk is personal and will add +5 to the max HP pool. If you're playing with death enabled, then Cheat Death is a must-have. If not, then Fortitude Tonic is the choice. Battle Hardened. With this perk, our injured troops will gain 25 XP after battle. We see from the testing the XP isn't awarded until the battle screen is finished, but does award 25 per injured troop. The Governor perk gives a 25% chance to avoid casualties when a defensive siege engine is destroyed. Helping Hands. This perk increases the healing rate based on the number of troops in the party. In the testing, we see a +5 recovery rate for every 100 troops we have, which actually comes to 10% per 10 troops, not 2%. Tailworld's maths giving us some love. The Governor perk reduces prosperity loss from starvation by 50%. For the main, the pick will depend heavily on what you need. If you have a lot of low-level troops that need leveling, Battle Hardened can help a lot, as high medicine can keep 85% or more of your casualties alive, meaning you'll level those troops up very quickly. If you need more healing rate, then Helping Hands is amazing as it scales with the size of the party. For Governor, neither are particularly good, although I think Helping Hand is a bit more useful. Minister of Health. I know medicine is difficult to level up, but the final perk alone makes it worth it. We gain +1 HP for every 2 levels above 200 we are, so at the max of 330, our troops gain +65 hit points. In the testing, we see our recruit go down with exactly 100 damage inflicted without the perk, and an incredible 169 damage and 7 shots with the perk. I can highly recommend trying to get to 330, as both Medicine and Steward are amazing and both are in the intelligence category. We are nearing the end of the video, which means it's time for the bonus. In preparation for the upcoming new series on battlefield tactics, we are going to explore a couple scenarios here while testing the medicine final perk, Minister of Health. We start with the famous Zombie Horde, tier 1 trash that can wipe out a comparably sized army with ease. Key here is not to give the charge command until the troops are at the enemy shield wall. It's easy for them to get sidetracked and chase units around without actually getting to the enemy main line. These guys are incredibly tough and can tank several arrows from their archer line. We take a shot to the leg and go down, but the zombie horde continues onward. By the end, we only lose 83 troops and smash an army of the same size with significantly better troop quality and army composition than ours. Next, we test how good legionary troops are with the extra HP. Fighting against the same army, we lower our troop count down to 200 and proceed. Things start off amazingly with a huge wall of green on the casualty feed and even trade well in the later stages of the battle, but 200 is simply not enough troops. Another 50 troops and we probably would have had it. We end up with nearly 3-to-1 KDR, which is not bad at all considering we were outnumbered almost 4-to-1. Next up, we test Imperial Elite Cataphracts, but only 150 of them at a time. We give the charge command so that they will cycle charge the enemy rather than stand and fight. Given the disparity in numbers, it's our only chance to pull off a win here. Most charges result in no casualties and inflicting 15 to 20 kills, but in the end, 150 cavalry is just too small of a force to compete with over 700 enemy troops. You may be wondering why I'm showing so many losing battles in a bonus section, to which I respond with this: 100 Fiend champions against the same 779 enemy troops. In order to maximize the impact of our volleys, we spread out into a single line, tightly packed. At 150 meters, our archers begin to open up, but the real fireworks happen when their archers overtake their shield wall. The enemy archers alone outnumber us more than 2-to-1, but are decimated without a single kill. Once the shield wall arrives, we retreat back behind the hill and regroup. We want to be more compact for the melee. 3 to 4 ranks deep will work fine here. We hold fire and give the charge command and watch the enemy crumble under our pressure. Once the enemy is routing, we can turn hold fire off and finish the rest from range. To add insult to injury, we even 1v1 this enemy commander with our bare hands from horseback. In the end, we lose only 10 troops and shatter nearly 800. For the final test, we will try out the Khan's Guard. For this test, we will use one of the least used formations in Bannerlord, column formation. This formation strings out our forces in a long, slender line. The biggest benefit here is that any troops commanded to follow us will follow our exact path, allowing us to create a ring of fire, rather than giving the charge command and having half of our troops run into their shield wall. Now we can see the tail of our formation, and our goal is to catch up to them, completing the ring. Looking from a bird's eye view, you can see this beautiful circle we drew. By the end of the battle, we defeat the enemy again and lose only 8 troops, which is even better than our Fians. And lastly, let's see how well the Khan's Guards stack up against Fians while on foot. We use the same strategy, single line, 1 rank deep, and pick off their archers. The added HP from the medicine perk ensures we don't take a single casualty from their return arrows. As the shield wall approaches, we pull back behind the hill to regroup, hold fire, and charge command. The enemy cavalry chase us around, but it won't matter as their army is in tatters. By the end, we lose only 6 troops, which again is even better than the Fians or from horseback. Don't forget to hit the like button before you go, and consider subscribing if you want to see more Bannerlord content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.